So what the public is seeing is different than what I'm seeing.
Yes. So you guys see,
You've got a camera set up, one microphone or something.
yeah, it's actually really.
Yeah, it's kind of blurry. You must have your background blurred out.
Check and see if we have any public comment. So I use the Title III administrator. Yeah.
My real name and my stage name. There you go. You're welcome.
What do you see right by the that's where your background settings are. And it won't show you how to blur it.
Well, it's got a word, like a hybrid word, full word.
That's better. That's better. That's it.
Are you guys ready to start down there? Good? Okay. If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We did not have any public comments today. We do have a special budget presentation. Kimberly, if you're ready. If no one objects, I'm going to stay right here for it. It'll be easier for me, but I do have slides on the screen for you all. So this is just our initial budget numbers as of right now. I will start by saying these might change by the time we get to September, and I'll explain that as we go through. Our 2026 budget, we do need board approval for the following funds which we appropriate, which would be our education fund, our operations fund, the rainy day fund, and our debt service fund. We have some budget assumptions that we're working with. So until our October official count date for this school year, we are getting state funding based on 1092, which would have been what we had landed on for our February count date. Our 2022 demographic study, Series B, that was our midline results, projected that we would be at 1053 for this school year. I am very happy to say that enrollment as of this morning was 1105. Now we know we'll still have some fluctuation there before official count date again in October, but this is very promising news for us. Our certified net assessed value for our taxing districts has also increased very nicely in 2026 to $710,288,660. For budget purposes, it is recommended widely to use 85% of this number to kind of guard against downward fluctuations. I was just on the phone with Baker Tilly, our financial advisors, and this was a very nice increase for us CNAV wise, and we should not expect to see this again with kind of the property tax cuts that we have coming our way and the caps for especially farming properties. This is probably going to be the highest that we'll see for several years. One other promising thing though is that we do have some housing that has been approved, so that could help us as well. Okay, so we'll get into actual budget numbers. Again, we're being funded on 1092 until October. I am basing budget numbers on 1091. I'm just being a little cautious at this point. I don't want to go all the way up to that 1105. Again, we'll still see some movement, but that budget number could change a little bit as we get to our September board meeting, and I feel a little bit more comfortable with our enrollment number. You will see kind of our biggest factor there is our basic tuition or our per pupil tuition that we get from the state. We have some other things factored in for a total based on the 1091 of $9,233,653.79. I have put on every slide what we would have budgeted for last year. So for FY 2025, you'll see that we did base that on 1102, and that budget number was higher than what we see. Now, I will say our per pupil amount that we're going to get this year in 2026 will increase from what we saw in 2025. And that is largely because the state has now factored in those curricular materials per student. So that's rolled into our basic tuition support. It's not going to be a separate payment that we see once a year. I will not go through all of these, but this is just a reminder of what our allowable expenses are from our education fund. Largely, this is compensation for employees, teachers, paraprofessionals, things like that. Our operations fund. So we are maxed for our maximum levy growth quotient at 4%. So our property tax levy can only go up 4%. So what you see there for property taxes is the max that we would be able to levy for this year. We have some other miscellaneous revenue that the county has officially put out for us. We do need to be cautious with this because even though we see these numbers, we're not guaranteed the amount that you see up there on the screen. I will say that property tax cap impact, normally we don't see that number very high here for Central Noble, but that is factoring in the changes, the homestead credits and changes that they do expect us to see from the changes from Senate Bill 1. So you'll see our total for this 2026 budget is $3,942,048. That's down from over $4 million for our 2025 budget. So we've kind of been saying our operations is where we're going to feel it the most, and I'm definitely seeing that in our budget numbers. Again, I won't go through all of this, but this is our allowable operations fund expenditures, transportation, central office staff, insurance, things like that. Our rainy day fund, we do always appropriate a couple $100,000. We do 200,000 utilities, 300,000 personnel services. These are things like retirement, severance packages, things like that, that it's hard for us to plan for year to year. So we give ourselves a little bit of flexibility. We hardly ever spend up to that 400,000, but we just kind of keep it the same. So that's the same as what we would have seen last year. And then debt services. This is the only place we're going to see an increase to our budget. So we will have some new debt this fall, and I will briefly go over general obligation bond information here in a moment. So we are going to have some debt fall off in December. So to keep our tax rate relatively stable, we're going to have to take on some more debt. We're looking at a GO bond. I will say that I just wanted to give a reminder that bond funds can only be used for capital projects in nature. So we cannot use those funds for day-to-day expenses or salaries. But if we're increasing our debt service payments here, which means we'll see more from taxes come our way to help cover these debt service payments. But that's the only, but we can't spend those just for everything. That's kind of a hard, this one's hard, but that's the only increase we see to our budget because we're taking on more debt. So this is our kind of initial budget proposals. You'll see our proposed advertised budget. You'll see our anticipated funding. We never want to go fully over that anticipated funding just in case we don't see it. So everything will kind of come in under or right at, which is the debt service you'll see. And then I did put FY 2025 up there. So again, here's where I want to point out that our total proposed advertised budget for FY 26 is lower than our 2025, but it doesn't look on the screen up there that much lower. And the key point there is that our debt service is actually going up from our 2025 debt service. If we were not taking on more debt this fall, we would have a difference of $301,346 less from last year. So that's where some of these cuts that we have had to make will really come into play so that we can fit within that budget. This is the Form 3. We will officially put our Form 3 on our website tomorrow for taxpayers to be able to see. Even if some of our numbers do change a little bit, those rates are still completely in line with what Baker Tilly is thinking as well. I was very appreciative that they looked all of this over for me. We'll also post our capital projects information and our bus replacement plan on our website tomorrow morning after this board meeting. Next steps. So again, we'll do some posting tomorrow, September 8th. I do have a meeting with our new DLGF representatives. So again, with some guidance from the state, some of this could change before that September 15th meeting. That is where we will conduct the public budget hearing. And then our October board meeting, whatever that does land on, we'll officially do our 2026 budget adoption. Any questions from the board? Again, this is initial. We'll have more information, but this is just kind of initial where we're landing for now. And that enrollment is a key piece. That's huge for us. Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Does that include, did you do the next?
If you're ready, we'll go right into bond if you would like.
Ready.
This one I'm going to be very brief about. I did just speak to Baker Tilly and they are willing to come to our September board meeting, so we'll get you more information there. This is just a very quick kind of what we're thinking. So this is our existing debt service payments. You'll notice that after 2025 in December, we do have quite a bit of debt falling off that we will be that we will have paid off. So if we do not bond sometime this fall, our 2026 tax rate would decrease drastically. And it's important for us and our community to keep this stable. So then, you know, it's not shocking if we have to take on some debt or anything like that. We keep it stable and we use it for the projects that we need. So as you can see, we've kind of kept it around that 80, 82. If we would not take any more debt, our tax rate would drop down to the 73.53 for next year. This with our net assessed value, it kind of gives us with our debt that we have falling off. This is what they're estimating that just under 4 million to be our GO bonding capacity. We don't really want to take the full amount. So it's going to be less than this, but that is what they're saying our max would be at this time. We do have some different scenarios that they've given us, and really the only change is the repayment terms. I'll explain that here on the next slide. So if we have, well, our tax rate with both scenarios would remain stable. So as long as we can get this GO bond going and have it sold sometime this fall, we'll keep it steady at that 80 cents going forward, which is important. Scenario A, which would be a repayment in 9 years, has higher payments, and we wouldn't be able to have any bonding capacity until 2035. So that's a little bit scary just with the climate that we're in. The longer repayment is not quite as high of payments each year, and it would allow us some flexibility. So in 2027 for 2028, we would be able to do some bonding again if needed. Personally, I like to have that flexibility there just because, again, there's been so many changes. There could still be changes. This gives us, you know, in a couple of years, if those bus costs keep going up and we have 2028 is going to be a high transportation year for us. We have 3 buses we need to replace. So I could see us needing to bond just for buses alone. That would be my recommendation, but this is not the first time you're going to be, or this is the first time you're hearing about it. It won't be the last time you're hearing about it. This is just kind of that graph, but in number form. So kind of going through if we have shorter repayments, what our capacity could be, things like that. And that's really it for our initial bond information for you all. Next steps, we'll be working to kind of determine our most needed capital projects. One thing we know is that we need a bus garage. Our lease is, I think, already exhausted. Wasn't it January of this year?
Yeah, so Leatherman's, we've leased from them for years now. They're kind of wanting to use that building for some of their business that they're doing. They're in no way, shape, or form kicking us out, like they're letting us stay there, but I think if the sooner that we can do our own building, that's meant for buses. The facility that we have, it works, but it's not meant for buses. And so there are some issues that come along with that. So I think having our own bus garage, being able to not have that lease payment every month going out would be beneficial to us. And then be able to get Leatherman's their building for their business that they need. So.
And we have looked at a couple of other places in terms of leasing the space for a bus garage, and it's just,
not big enough.
yeah, it's not what we need.
Yeah, we've had a couple people come to us saying, hey, we have this space, if you want to look at it. It's just, it's not for buses. Buses take a lot of space and to be able to maneuver them around and get them up in the air to fix them and all that. So that is why we'd be looking at that to do.
Okay, Robbie, did we find land to put this on?
So we actually have a couple options here still on our campus. The one where we looked at the proposed daycare before, that already has all the soil samples done, all the survey done on it. That could be one option, and that's where the middle school football team practices, just off the softball, behind the softball and football field.
Between the baseball and softball fields, right?
No, further back. So where the softball parking lot is, if you're going where the middle school practice field is, not the high school field.
Okay, so to the
Towards
east
the
of
housing
softball
division.
field.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So either there or to be back, but there's the hill back behind the soccer field presents a challenge. If we were wanting to look at that space, there would be a lot of extra costs of moving dirt for that. So.
Sure, yeah. In my mind, it makes sense to make this building big enough to service the buses. Also make a spot for central office, if we could squeeze a daycare in there somehow also, that would be great, but I know that's probably gonna get into the financial and the things too.
Yeah.
But when you're talking large construction projects, where you can combine the one better as far as mobilizing crews and all that kind of stuff. And in the end, it'll end up saving us money if we get them all three in one spot.
Yeah, we have asked, who we work with ABM to give us some different options, including putting central office in there, not putting it in there, and going back with those numbers. So those will all be as we get further into it, items up for discussion.
Okay.
Yep, and then we'll have a project hearing at our September 15th. This will kind of just go right in line with our budget. And then our October board meeting will do our adoption for the final bond resolution. Just a timeline for you all. Any questions from the board? All right, thank you.
Thank you. We can move on to consent items. Approval of minutes from the July 21st regular session meeting. Approval of the July 10th and July 25th payroll and claims from July 22nd through August 18th. Personnel acceptance of resignation of Jamie Warman, CN Junior Senior High English teacher. Kylie Hermanson, CN Primary First Grade teacher. Cheyenne Wormcastle, sped route bus driver. Brandon Wormcastle, sub bus driver. Tanya Chittister, childcare assistant. Peter Rogers, varsity boys tennis coach. Vicky Nepper, senior high yearbook sponsor. Matt and Vicky Nepper, junior class and prom sponsors. Clint Ferris, cross country head coach. Amanda Mayhorter, librarian. David Bramer, second grade teacher. Recommendation to hire Amy Dribelbus, CN junior senior high English teacher. Sorry. Lori Sprague, CN Junior Senior High English teacher. Morgan Kaufman, part-time CNP paraprofessional. Cordell Hoover as part-time grounds maintenance. Brandy Lay as librarian. Bessie Pridemore as Junior Senior High LD paraprofessional. Natasha Renninger as Junior Senior High LD paraprofessional. Samantha Broomball as CN Elementary sped paraprofessional. Riley Paris as CN Elementary paraprofessional. Dakota Davis as CN Elementary Paraprofessional. Fall coaches, Tiffany Marsh as varsity cheer head coach, Whitney Byerly as 7th grade volleyball head coach, Alexandra Byerly as varsity boys soccer head coach, Uri Ernsberger as junior high soccer head coach, Riley Paris as junior high soccer assistant coach. Please note that the following volunteer coaches were also approved. Football, Brad Baber, Riley Bremer, Tyson Deck, Bobby Fish, and Robbie Morgan. Volleyball, Peyton Boots. Soccer, Dylan Gaff. Cheer, Sarah Tigner and Desiree Burdette. May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Jared Knipper abstains from the following motion. Recommendation to hire Bob Knipper as part-time grounds maintenance. May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion. I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0.
I'll just put in a plug for that one for Corey and for Bob. We got two really good hires that come in part-time to fill that time. Both of them have extensive HVAC, plumbing, electrical, to kind of help fill those gaps. That Charlie, who is a wizard of all things, we're trying to figure out how to fill that position. We're lucky enough to be able to have these two guys with a wealth of knowledge in those areas to come in and fill in part-time, still keep us under what we were paying, and actually get a few more man hours out of it, as they're each up to 5 hours a day. And Charlie was only 8, so about 2 more man hours a day out of it. So kind of worked out good in our favor.
Good.
And we've leaned on Corey's a couple times in the past, anyways, because when we have issues that our maintenance couldn't figure out, he was kind of our go-to, and so now he's in-house, so he's gonna be doing it in a different capacity.
Action items. Recommendation to approve amending board meeting dates as follows. Move October 20th to October 13th due to fall break conflicts. Eliminate January 12th due to changes in state law.
So the October one, we talked about moving it later. The problem with that became then all the board packet and agenda was due during fall break when everyone was gone, and so there's no one to do it. So we're moving it beforehand. So that way we can really get their agenda and packet and everything out.
Makes sense. May I have a motion for that?
I'll move. I'll
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Recommendation to approve obsoleting items. Read 180 obsolete curriculum. Go Math obsolete materials. May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Recommendation to approve adjunct teaching agreement for Martha Hedges, junior senior high Spanish. May I have a motion?
I'll move. I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Jared Knipper abstains from the following motion. Recommendation to approve conflict of interest for Jared Knipper, school board member, and Bob Knipper, part-time grounds maintenance. May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second, Ryan. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0. Recommendation to approve out-of-state overnight field trip for FFA to attend Premier Leadership Training in Trafalgar, Indiana, August 22nd through the 24th. May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
We'll take Ty, second. Jason. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0.
I just thought he was voting already.
I couldn't see his hand. Mr. Morgan, on to superintendent comments.
Yep, so we talked earlier about some public work sessions coming up. for some different things that we're gonna have to discuss. Some of that includes our upcoming projects. Some of it includes what we look at to do with the primary building, whether we continue to keep it open, whether we bring everybody over. So just have some ideas working that way. So those were for October, and then also November, I think, is when Mrs. Lemon was going to come back and talk about her ideas. So we have some of those. One of the things that I wanted to talk about today is iRead results were finally released. And I'm happy to report that we had about an 18% increase over last year. So we're up to 85.5% of our third graders that were passing iRead, which I believe tied us for tops in our county. And for growth in kind of northeastern Indiana, put us number one. So our teachers, students are working really hard. Currently, last year, second graders were allowed to take the iRead. And of the second graders that were here last year, we only have 19 remaining that need to pass the iRead. So these are some of the kids. That group of third graders last year was the first group when we started our Amplified curriculum. So I think we can see some benefits from that coming through. So hopefully we can continue to trend upwards. With 19 left, we've got some work to do, but if we can get all 19 of them to pass, we can, I think the 95% that the state has set is a really big shot at us for being able to get. So, but that's been a lot of hard work, a lot of effort on our K-3 teachers, and all of our teachers put in a lot of work with getting those kids ready for the iRead assessment. So we're really pleased with that. Going back to where Kim was talking with some of our budgeting, just kind of update you on where we're at on our estimated savings, which are estimated that are fairly close. We still have some moving parts that we're trying to get, but of our operations fund, we're at about $115,822.96 that we have managed to save out of our budget. And then our education fund, this one's the one that's going to fluctuate a little because we may need to get some paraprofessionals to fill in some roles, but we're about $281,005.21. So those two funds. So we're making some headway. Good news with the enrollment going up, so hopefully that will hold true through our counts. So we're very happy about that. Past that, that's all I have for my comments. So I'll move on to our principals that are here. Mrs. Hoover.
We've had a good start. Key has been flexibility, with fifth grade coming in. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know until it happens, but they've been great about communicating, and we've adjusted and made those changes and really working well as a team. So we're moving full steam ahead.
What?
Same with second grade. It's been a relatively smooth transition so far, getting to know those kids. 2/3 of our students are new to the building this year, so that's been interesting to teach procedures. A couple big things for us. Picture Day is coming up Thursday, the 21st, which is literally right here. And then the other thing I want people to know is transportation in the back and in the front appears to be going, again, knock on wood, fairly well. We had our last student off campus today by 3:29, down from like 3:45 the first day. And we're hoping to continue to do that. And I'm in the back, and I know Ms. Bonanno is usually inside when I get in. So it must be, I'd say, 2 to 3 minutes faster in front. So I wouldn't say it's great, but I would say compared to where we were at this point last year, parents are pretty pleased, I think, with where we are at this point. So.
Tiger?
We welcome 76 kindergarten students and 90 first graders, so our class sizes are holding pretty strong where we want them to be. We kind of fluctuated with kindergarten. At one point we were hitting 80, and then we lost some and gained some, and that kind of always happens, and we never really know until school starts how many we actually have in seats. But just like Sean and Mary said, we're off to a really good start. Having one less grade level in the building seems a little weird, but it does give us a little more flexibility on how we do things during the day. And I think transportation's going well with our littles. Sean, we haven't lost any yet, have we?
Not yet.
Okay, we might have got them in the wrong place, but we have not lost any, so that's a good thing. But no, I think we're off to a really good start.
Amy is not here for transportation, but transportation is actually, I think, this year been the smoothest that it's been so far. Day one was a little after 3:30 that we left, and by day two, it was kind of almost within a couple minutes of when we normally would leave on time, and we've been out pretty smooth last couple days, so that seems to be going well.
How's the walk zone, the new walk zone?
We've put out several communications asking for them to use the light crossing. We still have some kids using crossings down. We did have one concerned parent come in. The problem becomes it's out of our jurisdiction at that point, and that Mr. Cole can correct me if I'm wrong. Right now, the only people that can put crossing guards that can stop traffic would be Public Board of Works, Town Council, local police department, if how their laws allow. So that's past ours jurisdiction. So I think we probably need to have some discussion with the town council on how we could maybe work together, because we still have quite a few, I'd say 15-ish or so kids crossing anywhere from Jefferson to Highland and not coming down to the light. And so while there are crosswalks there, there's not any like actual crosswalk where you can hit the button and go across. So
Hey, Robbie, what age group are those kids?
I'd say it's all like, can't move.
None of them that I have seen would be like kindergarten first. It would all be like elementary and
Upper
older.
elementary, middle school, high school kids.
So the kids that are older,
Yeah, it's,
know to use the crosswalk.
yeah, it's not, and I mean, I get it. If I was a kid, I would probably cross there too, because I'm not gonna walk another block, but it is there.
Short distance.
We put communications out, so at this point, I'm kind of at a loss for what we can do, because legally we can't do anything.
Can you share what the parents' concerns were, other than their kids walking where they should?
I think just that there not being a crossing guard at that spot, even though Kim was there, she can't stop traffic.
She can't do it. She can't really do anything, right?
Yeah, and so I had actually called our attorney today to talk to him a little bit. He's looking into, because technically the school's liability ends when our supervision ends. So it would be when they leave our property, but then if we're posting people down there, he's now got a little concern about where our liability would lie if we have people down there supervising. So he's gonna look more into that and get back to us.
I assume we directed the concerned parent to go to the town council with their concern.
We sent it down to town hall, and I don't know what came about from there.
Sure, good luck.
Oh,
Transportation. They sent him back to transportation.
So they sent him back to transportation, so we probably need to have a discussion there.
Yeah, we need to probably need to make sure that the lines of responsibility are well known by all involved. For the town, the school, the cops, whatever it is. Marshals, not the cops, but just so those lines
I
are
have a
clear.
different question. Length of bus routes, are we okay there? Like,
Yeah, I don't know that there's anybody that's on the bus longer than 45 minutes to an hour.
And it might have felt longer this first week
Yeah.
just with, but I don't
we
think
get
that,
used to everything?
yeah. Yep.
Once they get on, they'll pick up speed a little more. So the first couple days, week or so is always slower just because some new routines, but it gets quicker as they go.
I think that's except that when I was in high school, I rode the bus for an hour and 10 minutes. The time I rode the bus in junior high, all the way through high school, so.
Our son has an hour ride home, and I think Wednesday, Thursday was a little longer, but by Friday he was back to his normal time frame. Anything else? Any other board questions? Did we miss anybody of the staff? No? Meeting is adjourned at 5:33 p.m.
Thank you all, appreciate the extra effort.
Thank you.
Yep, I'll have 10 emails.